Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new process video, and as you can see I have 6 by 12 pages here. I'm doing a double page spread and I'm a little ahead of the game today. I think I have picked out the cards that I need and worked out the placement of the photos, and I even have a spot for my receipt. Now, having said that, the only change I am possibly considering is that behind these, I've already done the layout on the other side. So this is the opposite side of the paper that was used over there, and I really like it. It actually matches what I'm doing here. So I am considering potentially doing something like this, where I just put the card on here and I embellish over here, and then I find another home for this photo somewhere. I could do a photo flip, which is not a problem, but I kind of like the idea of more blue showing through there, but I could make it a lot easier on myself and just leave it as I had planned. Like this, it doesn't look bad. I just like the idea of maybe having an interactive element here. So I have to decide on that. But for the rest of this, I think this page is going to stay exactly like it is, unless this ends up one of these photos. But I don't intend to change what you're seeing on top here. The placement, what I'm using for the card, any of that, I don't intend to change that. So I'll at least get started with what I have here. These photos are all from a lunch we had at a place called Zorba's when we were in Philly. And since it's all food related, I have pulled out my container of food related stamps. So I do have those at the ready. I also need to get my Philly bin that has all the things in there that I collected that I thought might work for Philly. And I also need to get out my food bin because I have a whole bin of stuff. There's some other things in there too, but it's a whole section of stuff related to food, so embellishments and phrase labels and that kind of stuff. So I need to get all of those things together and figure out what might work for this. Before I pick out any stamp stuff, I think I'm just going to go through my food related items here and see what I can find, because that might inform whether or not I even use the stamps. So as you can see, I have a bunch of different stuff here. I have lots of chipboard and puffy stickers, lots of regular stickers in here, some wood veneer. So I'm going to go through there and see what might look good with all of these dang photos. With all of the embellishment type stuff I've pulled out here, I think I'm going to start by working with these Allie Edwards chipboard things I have. And I loved, these are from a Foodie release she did, and I loved them so much I bought 2 of each because I wanted to be able to use them more than once. And I'm seeing already like this yellow color would match nicely. Black and white obviously is good. The blue isn't quite right, but you know, who knows, I might be able to make it work. Some of these probably would. So I think I'll start with those and just see how many can I use without it being overwhelming. So looking at some of these items, I think I definitely want to use either the So Tasty or the Yum, because they're the yellow color that I like and it works with all of this. But I've decided I think maybe I don't need this photo after all. This was the one I was contemplating and moving anyway, because it's just an empty table, and yes, there's some art on the walls, but I have the art featured in other places, and I already have our view looking towards the back of the restaurant from where we were seated more towards the front. So I have the tables, so I don't know that this really adds anything, and then it opens up this space for me, and I could use one of these yellow elements right here, because I only really have this that has a yellow tint. Everything else is on this side. So if I bring in some yellow over here, that might really help with the way that the color is distributed. I've decided to take this card and do it off center, and then I will use this, whoops, there we go, this piece of chipboard right here. One thing I do want to say about these, I love Allie Edwards stuff. However, her chipboard, I have such a problem getting the backing off. I mean, you can see right here when I tried to pull it off, it pulled the chipboard with it a little bit. You have to be very, very careful with how you peel off the backing piece. Otherwise, you're going to rip a whole layer off. So just a word of warning if you buy any of the chipboard that she makes. So for this, do I want it kind of overlapping? That's kind of cute. It'll actually be up here. So any yellow is kind of a ways away, because this would be over here. Sorry, that's my cat. It'd be off center here and it would be on the other side. So I think it would be okay to do that. And it won't really lose anything for the journaling by doing that. I still have plenty of space. Plus it gives me the option I can layer things around it, which I totally want to do. I've attached those two pieces of chipboard so far. Three technically, these came as separate pieces, but this really was my favorite meal the whole time we were in Philly, so I feel like I'm telling the truth by putting that on there. Then I think I need to work in maybe one other thing over here to give me a nice little cluster of elements. So I'll keep looking for that, but I'm still considering what I want to do over here as well. I realized when looking at the photos, there is red here and here. A little bit here, you can see that the wrapper. You can see that sticking out a little bit. There's some red in the flowers in this photo. I could bring in some red maybe. I do have this that says love this restaurant. Totally true. I absolutely did love it. I'd go back in a heartbeat. I probably should have thought about how I would place that before I adhered these two, but I could probably still make it work. Also, on this other piece of chipboard elements, I have these two. This is a little too dark, but these two, Love You Dessert, which I have here, that might work. And then this one, Feed Me Please, I also like that. So at least I have some choices. I decided to add two red elements. I did go with Love This Restaurant. I added it there. And then I decided to do Love This Dessert for my baklava. When I was glancing at this to figure out what to work on next, I realized I need something behind this. I need just a little bit of a card peeking through. And I'm thinking maybe I'll go with red since I started it here in little bits around the page. Maybe that would work. If not, I suppose I could go with a very light yellow. Those are probably really the only colors I can do. I already have enough blue. I don't think I should do that. Black would be too dark. So I think red first, maybe yellow second. I did grab out my pile of red scraps here, so I will go through this and see if there's anything here that matches. I have selected this paper for the back, and this was actually already cut to 3x4 size. So I don't know if I did that thinking I would eventually maybe use it as a background card. I don't know, but whatever, it works for me because it's perfectly sized. So all I will do is attach it like that. I may add some little embellishment here at some point, or I may leave it as is. Not sure. We'll see how it goes. I love how the red adds to the layout, so I think that was the right choice. Now I think I actually need to add something over here. I've got some dead space here, so I'm thinking just a label or a circular element, and I have both. I have a whole thing of labels here, so I could just pick out a red one. And then I have all my circular elements. I know I've got some red things in there. I could use one of those just either hanging off the top here or at the side to bring in a little bit over there. And that might be all I need for embellishments. I still may do some stamping in some other spots, but that might be the majority of the layout in terms of embellishments. I've decided to go with this, and I'm actually going to overlap it over the top right here. There's just my friend's hand in this upper part of the shot, and then an empty room, so I really don't need that showing. But if I do this, that covers up a lot of it, and I'll still get a little bit of the red, plus it gives me room to stamp. Ta-da! There it is, all stamped and put together. I decided to just go simple and use a stamp that said lunch. This is the set I use. This is an old one from Technique Tuesday, and I just used the lunch stamp here because there's one for every meal, and it worked out perfectly. Now I still have to figure out, do I want to stamp anywhere else, or is this done? I think I've actually decided to add one more thing, and it's going to be on this card. Because I will have some journaling room over here, I probably don't need all of this space. So I think right up here underneath the design, I'm going to use a couple more of these. I think I want to do the one that says full, and then the one that says foodie. And it brings in the black on both sides of the page too, plus then I'll have my journaling in black. So I think it'll work color-wise. There's the card with those added. I love that too. Oh, so good. And then I do think I want to stamp something up here because otherwise these three photos have nothing and these three all have something. So it feels like it's bottom heavy this way. So I think I need to at least stamp something up here. Maybe if I can slightly curve it around the edge of the plate, that might be cool. I've decided I want to use this stamp which says food is my love language. that does not bend very well. I tried to see if I could curve it a little bit to fit this, and I don't think that's going to work. But if I'm careful with placement, I should be able to get it kind of right in there between the fork and the red wrapper from the tea. So I think I'm gonna go with that. And if I screw it up, I am able to print at home, so I'll just reprint. All right, here's this one done with the stamping. I love it. And with that, I think this one is done. I think if I keep adding stuff, it won't really benefit it. It'll take away from it. So I want to leave it just like it is. So here's another one done for Philly. Thanks for watching.